Hello my YouTube friends! I did a video not long ago that showed you how to move UI elements into a vertical live stream. And what that means is over in this vertical scene here, we can move this and the gun piece up at the top into the vertical scene so you can actually see all of the elements even though you're streaming in vertical. But you can see here what happens when you go into like a menu screen. It just looks bad in vertical. And of course, now it's not showing us everything we need. But what if we could set it up to show us everything we need? Like this. Well, that would be awesome, except for we really don't want to be changing it all the time manually. What if we could set it up to do it automatically when we changed into the menu scene? That would be just epic, and it's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do today. We got a little bit to get to. All of this is totally free. So you know what? Let's get to it. We're going to be using 3 plugins today. They are all totally free. And obviously the first one we're going to use is the ATEM vertical plugin. That allows us to actually stream or record in vertical format in OBS. The second one we're going to use is Source Clone. It's going to allow us to duplicate assets without actually affecting the original asset. The third plugin we're going to use is the Advanced Scene Switcher. And there are links to all 3 plugins down below in the description so you can download them, put them on your system, and follow along. That is the best way to learn. Now, if you have any problems downloading or installing these videos, I have done individual videos on each one of these plugins that walk you through that entire process if you want to go and check those out. So now that you have them all downloaded and installed on your system, let me show you exactly how to set this up. So in the last video, I showed you how to create the UIs over here and link these scenes together so they switch. And we're going to use this basically the same premise in doing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our game scene and we're going to duplicate it. And we're going to call this menu and we're going to click OK. And so on this menu scene, we're going to go ahead and automate everything so that this will switch from the game scene to the menu scene when we click the menu. So let's go ahead over and bring it to the menu. We want to program our system so it switches from game to menu when we see the menu. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go up to Tools and we're going to go to the Advanced Scene Switcher here. And we're going to create one and we're going to call it Game first and click OK. And so what we're going to do is we're going to switch to the game scene here, and we're going to go ahead and switch our scene here to the game, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to uncheck this. We're going to check this right here, and we're going to click the plus. And so and we're going to drop scene down, and we're going to select video, right? And so if OBS's main source, we want to select source here. We want to select our game source. So game display. If we look in our source list, you can see game display. So now we are basically sampling this video. And we want to, instead of exactly matches, we want to select matches pattern. And then what we want to do is we want to enter the path and we want to create a screenshot. So where do we want to create this screenshot? Well, I created a folder and we're just going to create our screenshots here. And since we're working in the game right here and we're working in game right here, we're going to create a game one. I already created one. We're going to overwrite that and click yes. So now when we hover over this, you can see we've got a screenshot of our game scene in there. So anytime that it sees that exact game scene, it would switch to this scene. But that's not going to be enough for us. We're going to go and we're going to perform a check in an area right here. And we want to select our area. So what area is going to be in our game scene every single time that we're over here? And Starfield has kind of a minimal UI. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're just going to select this little health area here. If this is on the scene, then we are definitely going to have our game scene on. So we could select that and click here. And then we want to go back up here and you can see if I browse, it's the same one. So we want to go ahead and do that. We want to create a screenshot. We want to replace our game one again and click yes. And now when we hover over it, we're just going to see that. Now all we need to do really is create another one. So we're going to go and we're going to right click and we're going to duplicate this macro right here. The second one, we're going to rename this and we'll call this menu and click OK. So we got video again, we got game display again, but we want to change up our source. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a screenshot, but we want to go into our game here and switch it over to our menu. All right, so we want to create a new one, so we're going to just perform check in area. We're going to uncheck that. We're going to go to browse, and we're going to create a screenshot, and we're going to go to menu, and we're going to save that screenshot. You're going to create this with the file name down here because you're not going to have files already. And then click yes, and now we should have a full screen of our menu. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down here, and we're going to use an area, and we're going to select a piece of this area. And anytime that this is on, we are in the menu. So we're going to go ahead and just select this area here. And then all we have to do is go back up here to browse and save it again so we get that specific area. Overwrite, yes. And now you're going to see that we have that specific area. We just have to go back into our macros and tell it what it's going to do when it recognizes either one of these. So we're going to go to game, and then if it finds that exact image in our game, we want it to switch scene, and we want to select our game scene, and we can use the cut. We can select any transition that we have loaded in, but for this particular tutorial, we're going to use the cut. So now it will switch to the game scene when it recognizes that. And we'll go over here to menu, and we're going to click the plus, and we're going to go and select scene. And this one, we want it to select the menu. We want to do the cut, and that's all we need. So now we should be all set up. We could go back over here and make sure that this is active. If it's not active, just make it active. Now the one thing that we might want to change up in here is this right here. Reduce your CPU load. If you don't do this, it's going to just constantly check. So I think this is a good thing to check. You can maybe change this to 500, and we're going to do it in both game and menu. There we go. So now we've got that all set up. So if we were to go out once it's active and we switch from this scene to our game scene, you're going to see right here, we switched from game to menu. And then if I go to the menu, it'll switch from menu to game. Now you see it popping back and forth there. It's obviously a little bit confused. We're going to go to tools, and we're going to go to advanced, and we're going to go in here, and we're going to select our game one. And we want to adjust our threshold because you see it's bouncing around. It doesn't seem to know for sure. So we're just going to adjust this threshold up a little bit. We're going to go into the menu one, and we're also going to adjust our threshold a little bit. And you want to do this until it stops bebopping back and forth. Let's go ahead and see if it'll do it now. Now when we go to game, it's still popping back and forth. It's not doing what we want it to do, so we're going to go to Tools, Advanced. We're going to go into Game, and we're going to adjust this threshold a little more. And we're going to go to Menu, and we're going to adjust the threshold a little more as well. So there we go. So now when we switch back and forth, you could see that it's going to automatically switch our menu. So I'll select the game here. When it goes to menu, you can see that it flips to the menu scene. Then if I go back to the game, you could see that it flips to the game scene. But when I try to select our other scene, our just chatting scene, well, you can see that it does not let me select that. And that's because it wants to stay on these two. We didn't write anything in there that allows us to do anything but switch back and forth between the menu and the game. So now we've essentially locked ourselves out of our just chatting scene. So we're going to go up to tools and we're going to go back in here and we'll just select our game scene first. And up here in the top, we're going to add another condition. And that condition adds down here at the bottom. You can see it basically just adds the same condition. We're going to push this up to the top. And then what we're going to do is instead of if, we're going to select if not. And we're going to go up to video and we're going to select scene here. And then we're going to, current scene is, we're going to select scene, which is our just chatting scene. So if it's not scene, and then we want to select and right there. If it's not scene, then it's going to take a look at this. And we're going to go to menu. We're going to click the plus. And we're going to go down here to the new one it created. And we're going to move it up. And we're going to go ahead and drop this down. And if not, we're going to select scene. And if the current scene is not our scene, then we want to and this right here. And there we go. So now we should be able to select our scene without having any problems. Let's see if it works. There we go. So now we can select this scene, and it doesn't matter what we do in game. It's not going to change any of that. So whatever scene the game is on, it doesn't really matter. We can now independently select our scene. Now you could set up another rule that will automatically switch to scene or your just chatting scene when you go to the lobby or something like that. You can set it up using the same two rules that we did with game and menu. But now we can select game and go over here, and you can see that it automatically saw that we were in the menu scene and switched to the menu. And then if I go up and select the game, it will automatically see that we switched and switch it back to game. So now it works properly and we can select scene independently. So now that we have all of this set up and we are all set in this side, well, what do we do for the vertical? How do we get that to automatically switch? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new scene and we're going to call this vert menu and we're going to click OK. So now we have an all new scene. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and click the plus, and I'm going to add a source clone. This source clone is going to be our game display. And there we go. Click OK. And then what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm going to go and select filters. Now here we're going to apply the filter for our mask. And if you're not familiar with what the masks are, I showed you how to create them in the other one, but I'll just open one up so you could kind of see. Right here I created 3 different masks for each panel, and so one of them would be like the left mask where we just have this red blob here and all the rest of this is alpha. And we have the right mask, which is this red block with all of the rest of this is alpha. So that's going to create a situation where we can easily mask this out. So what we're going to do is select our left mask first. And what we're going to need to do is go and change this. So you can see our left mask is right here over top. We're going to drop this down and we're going to select alpha channel. So it just is that. And then we're going to click close. And you can see that it's right there. So we can make it as big or as small as we want. So we'll just make it to fill up this side of the screen over here. And then what I'm going to do is click the plus. And we're going to go and we're going to add another source clone. And we're going to select the source clone game display. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to right click here on the new one. We're going to go to filters. We're going to click the plus. And we're going to go to our mask and blend. And this time we're going to select our right mask and click open. And we're going to drop this down and select the alpha channel. And there we go. So now we've got this one. Just bring it over here and we'll embiggen it until it is the same size as our other one. And we can use the arrow keys to get it kind of set in place to where we want it. And there we go. We have one more. We're going to click the plus and we're going to go to our source clone and we're going to create a new one. We're going to add our game display once again. Click OK. We're going to go ahead and right click up here and go into filters, and we're going to use our mask again. And this time we're going to use the center circle. Click open. And we're going to drop this down and select the alpha mask. And we're going to click close. And there we go. So now we can just make this bigger, and there you go. So now we've got all of our UI elements over here. All we have to do is make those UI elements switch the same as this side does. And to do that, we could go right here and right click on our vert menu, and we're going to go to our links and we're going to select menu. And there we go. So now when we select our game, we can go back here. It's automatically going to switch over there and we'll see our game. And then when we go to menu, it's automatically going to switch to our menu scene because it's linked. So, and you can see how well this works. We can move this around. We can change it up. Now, you may want to spend more time. I did this super quick and dirty. So you'll notice if I select this menu, well, it may not look perfect. So you might want to expand this panel over here to fit. You're going to have to play around with it yourself because, of course, this has all kinds of different menus that you could set up. And you can do a different one for each menu. But obviously, this really sets it up so it automatically switches for you. And your audience, if they're viewing in vertical, still has access to all the menus and they can see everything that's going on. Some might say, man, that looks like poo. Well, we can kind of spruce this up too. Let's go over here. I'm going to click the plus and I'm going to go to a color source. And we're going to add a new color source and we'll just select something interesting here. Kind of like maybe a dark gray, something like that. We're going to click OK and OK. So now we've got this color source. I'm going to move it down here and we're going to expand the color source out so it covers the whole back. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on here. We're going to go into filters and we're going to add some other plugins that you may be interested in. The first one is going to be the stroke plugin. This is all one plugin, the stroke, shadow, and glow, what I'm going to do here. And you can grab these on the plugin area of OBS. They're totally free. We're going to add a stroke and that is the color white. I think that's going to work well because it kind of pulls it off the page a little bit. As you can see, it puts a little white outline there. And then what I'm going to do is add a drop shadow. So it's just shadow like that. And then this will add a little bit of shadow to the bottom. If we turn up the intensity, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. We can move the light angle and you'll see it kind of moving around our top left box there. And I think I want it kind of in this direction. We can move the size so you can see it'll get massive or small. And this just kind of adds some depth to everything. We can move the distance so we can push it out that way. We don't really want to do that. We want to make sure that it's just kind of a pretty simple little shadow. And so there we go. Now we have that shadow all set up. Now it looks a little bit better and it doesn't affect anything. So when we go back into our game, it's still going to switch, but it looks like it has some depth. It has all of the things that you're looking for. It looks like you actually spent time working all this stuff out. And if you get these right, people are going to be super impressed. It just takes a little time to work it out. And that is the key. You're going to be setting up something like this for different games. So you're going to have to go in and create the boxes for your UI for a lot of different things. But this is what big time streamers do when they want to make their scenes look unique and awesome. You got to spend the time to cut this stuff out, move it around, make it look epic, and then we've already programmed everything so it works totally in the background. We don't have to do anything. It automatically switches scenes and does all the things we want to do. And so once you set this up, you're going to stand out from everyone else. Your streams are going to look awesome and unique. You're going to have a lot more fun. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I work really hard to try to create content that I think you're going to enjoy. And sometimes I hit and sometimes I miss, but honestly, it's really hard to know for sure. But you can really help me out on this front. If you are enjoying this video, leave it a thumbs up. And if it's not your cup of tea, go ahead and leave it a thumbs down. If every single person watching this video right now leaves it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I'm definitely going to know what you think about this content. So take a second, thumbs up, thumbs down. Thank you very much for helping me out. Let's get back to the video. Now you can use any image editing software out there. Doesn't have to be Photoshop. I used Pixlr in the last video. You can use Canva. There are so many out there that you can use. It doesn't have to cost you anything. So don't let that be a roadblock to setting these up. It's really pretty easy. Is there a part of this process you don't understand, or maybe I didn't explain it fully? Well, let me know down in the comments and maybe I can answer back and clarify or do a follow-up video. And if you want to see a full video on the process I use to create and organize your UI, you should check this video out. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better live streamer or YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Feyrer Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.